Hello and welcome back to TNN's coverage of the world's 9 best fantasy football players league. I'm your host, and this is what we have for you this week. Week 5 was quite the shock as both of the remaining undefeated teams went down. In an even bigger shock, the mental brick walls added on to their defeat with being eliminated in the survivor pool. Also, in a matchup of winless teams, Team M Vanek proved they truly are the worst team in the league, falling to the Chunguses. And now, we send it over to Brett to spin the wheel for the survivor pool. Now, here is Danny Football with his picks for Week 6. Hey, what's up, guys? World's 9 best fantasy football players expert, Danny Football here, back with another week of expert predictions. Last week was okay for me. I went 3-3, bringing my total on the year to 18-12. My guest Grayson was able to finish 4-2. Beating the expert for the first time ever, so congrats to him. He's earned a spot back in the playoffs. But now, it's a new week, there's a new guest, and a new chance to beat the expert. So guest, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thanks for having me on the show, Danny Football. Big fan. Fans of the show will know that I am a big fan of the show. Looking forward to making our picks today. Unfortunately, I've not had the chance to best the expert, but I think just as my team's tide is turning these past couple of weeks, I think it's now my time to shine on the pick show, and I'm feeling real good about my picks today.
Hey, third time could be the charm here.
Could be.
All right, first up, we have Ham and Throw taking on the Texarkana Bandits. Ham and Throw favored at 57% in this one, but we all know sleeper predictions are unreliable anyway, so take that with a grain of salt. Ham and Throw really just a terrible team. They're actually only one game better than Team M Vanek when you look at the potential weekly wins and losses if you face every single team. Editors, please insert those rankings through week 4. As you can see, Ham and Throw, really bad, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. The Bandits, look, Jacob, I know you're a fan of the show. Clearly a fan of the show. You watch every week. Fans of the show know
Absolutely.
I'm high on the Bandits, and you know what? They're looking pretty good right now. They're 4-1. They got a big win. They just bonked Waddle last week. Brian Robinson, he's going to be really interesting to watch for them. Could be the new lead back in Washington. He's certainly a guy that you want to really root for. Great comeback story. Just very, very likable. Very much unlike Mike Visconti, and I'm going to go with the Bandits this week.
I really think this is an interesting matchup because you could not pick two more different teams right now. Ham and Throw at 1-4. Texarkana Bandits, exact opposite, 4-1. Ham and Throw, 4-game losing streak. The Bandits, 3-game winning streak. Ham and Throw, devoid of all personality. Texarkana Bandits, one of the funniest people you'll ever meet. Just look at those nicknames.
True.
Just look at those nicknames. Now, as a Antonio Gibson truther, I cannot quantify the value that Brian Robinson will bring on the field, but I can say he's an upstanding gentleman, and I wish him all the best outside of the football field. That being said, it cannot be an easier pick for me. I'm going with the Bandits.
It's a great pick. Lock that one in.
Bang.
Next up, we have the SWAT team taking on Team Big Chungus 22. SWAT favored at 57% in this one. Who do you like in this matchup?
This is close. This is real close. I have been pretty high on the Chungai considering they're 1-4.
Okay.
I think they put up some good fights. Although, with Hurts and Miles Sanders, they've been a real two-headed duo on the ground. I don't think that they're going to be able to put up those kind of performances against a staunch Dallas defense, and I think that's really going to hurt the Chunga people. So I'm going with SWAT team to take this one in a clear victory.
Yeah, I like that pick here. SWAT, they're coming off a very close encounter with undefeated, never lost last week. I think that's something that's really going to scare the team, motivate them to actually put up some points this week, frankly. They have the longest active winning streak in the league at 4 games, but one thing I've got my eye on here is the potential Nick Bosa injury. The SWAT team, they could be looking a little vulnerable if they've got to have an extended period of time without Bosa and TJ Watt. With that being said, though, I still think they're much, much better than this big Chungus team. Fans of the show will know I have a working theory that Will is not a fan of the show. So Will, if you're watching, just send me a text. Send it to Danny Football. Say, hey, Danny Football, I want you to talk more about my team next week, and I will do that. I will very happily do that. You just gotta send me a text. And in the meantime, I have nothing more to say about this big Chungus team. There really isn't too much to say. I'm going with the SWAT team.
I will add one thing. I'm not sure if you saw this, Danny Football, but I'm sure it's on Commissioner Tooch's radar of the video of Nick Bosa clearly not throwing his game glove to the young black girl in the stands and avoiding her and giving it to the 2 white kids around her. I don't know if that's going to cause some friction on the SWAT team among other players, but it's definitely something to keep your eye on.
That is definitely something to keep your eye on. Who knows? Maybe Nick Bosa will get shipped off to undefeated, never lost in the near future. Next up, we have Bart Harley, Jarvis Landry taking on Then He Waddled Away. Waddle favored here at 51%, really close matchup. This is a really good matchup, actually, between two teams that are 3-2. I think both very solid teams. This was in contention for the marquee matchup this week. Waddle, they've really cooled off lately. They started out really hot, 3-0, lost their last 2. They're really going to need to bounce back quickly. I'm concerned about Waddle, given that the Dolphins are likely going to be without Tua and Teddy Bridgewater. And I did not expect in the year 2022 to say that Teddy Bridgewater is really propping up some receiver's fantasy value, but here we are. For the Jarvis Landry, one thing I'm looking out for is if they're able to avoid injuries down the stretch to their offensive players. This team is really good at the top. I've said that frequently on the show. Josh Allen, Saquon, Jonathan Taylor. But their depth is pretty thin. I think that was shown by them having to play Ben Skoranek last week. Just not a fantastic option. Their bench guys, pretty thin. Given that Jonathan Taylor is their only big injury right now, though, I think they're still a very strong team. Something to look out for, but not this week. I'm going with BHJL in this one.
Yeah, interesting matchup here between John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt and Then He Waddled Away. This is really a quarterback duel. It comes down to Josh Allen playing the Chiefs, going up against Patrick Mahomes playing Buffalo. It could go either way. This is a true toss-up. I'm not a coin guy. If I was, I'd be flipping it.
You want me to flip one for you? I got one right here.
Oh. All right. Flip one.
All right.
All right. This is what we're going to go with. If it's heads, Then He Waddled Away wins. If it's tails, Bart Harley, Jarvis Landry loses.
Okay. Here we go. We're going for the flip.
What do we got?
Oh, I threw it behind me.
Then He Waddled Away, sealing the victory.
Next up, we have Luck of the Irish versus Blood, Sweat, and Beers. Blood, Sweat, and Beers favored at 71% here, although I will note this is before Luck of the Irish set their lineup. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I am high on Blood, Sweat, and Beers. It took them a little bit to come out of the gate. It started off a little slow, riding a 2-game win streak. I think everyone's peaking at the right time. I don't think that Luck of the Irish has the depth that it needs to handle all of their players being on bye. I think the luck runs out, and the blood, sweat, and beers takes it in an easy victory.
Yeah, I think that's a good read here. Both of these teams are coming into this one pretty hot. Both put up about 215 last week, so really solid scores. The story here, as you said, is the bye week for Luck of the Irish. They're going to be without Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, and Dameon Pierce, who's been a really solid running back so far this year. A very, very serious question of how this team is going to perform with James Robinson and Alexander Mattison as their starting running backs. And I really could not even tell you who they're going to start at the flex, like Corey Davis, maybe. I don't know.
Devin Duvernay.
Not a lot of great options there. The story for Blood, Sweat, and Beers, on the other hand, this year is all about disappointment. This is a team that many picked to be a top contender this year after their very splashy offseason trade. And they've really got to win now, otherwise they're going to be in pretty serious trouble with their draft pick situation this year. They don't have any picks until the 4th round. Very hard to build for the future when you put yourself in that situation. But now they've got like maybe 2 or 3 good running backs. Thought there was going to be a lot of running back talent on this team. Everyone's in pretty much a pretty significant timeshare. So don't love that for them. The trade for Josie Jewell was also a very interesting move, given that he was previously claimed for $0 and looks like he is now immediately hurt. I'm guessing there's probably some buyer's remorse there. This team really just keeps getting fleeced by Miguel and the entire management team over at Undefeated Never Lost. I have zero faith in this management, and I'm going with the Irish this week.
Wow. Cuts run deep.
Moving on, we have Undefeated Never Lost taking on Team M. Vanek. Undefeated Never Lost favored in this one at 58%. This is really a tough matchup here, going to be real gritty. Truly the Bears Commanders of the world's 9 best fantasy football players this week. No one wants to watch this matchup. Undefeated Never Lost has been coming up short in a lot of matchups this year. Really close games for them. They have a couple of guys I like. Like Justin Tucker comes to mind. This Undefeated Never Lost team. Not a lot of good things you can say, but one thing you can say: elite kicking team. I don't know who their special teams coordinator is, but they definitely need to be getting a pay raise over there. Offense, defense, questionable. Special teams, elite. Team M. Vanek, on the other hand, nothing is elite about this team. They're terrible across the board. They proved that they are the worst team in the league last week. They've been bottom scoring team multiple times already this year. Also, they have Aiden Hutchinson on a bye this week, which might actually be a good thing for this team because, locker room morale. They won't have to see Aiden Hutchinson being outplayed by Trevon Walker this week. I've said before that I cannot in good conscience pick Team M. Vanek, and I have to stick with that. I'm going with Undefeated Never Lost in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. Okay. I think, this is a matchup that's really scraping the bottom of the barrel, both in terms of management investment and talent on the field. You don't talk about the Dolphins tanking on purpose. These are some atrocious teams right now. It is a disgrace that we, as humans, have to watch this matchup. Sleeper should give me the option to not see certain matchups every week, and this would be one of those matchups. I don't want to see 125, 123 victory by M. Vanek, but that's what I'm picking because that's what this show is about.
I like know. You should tweet that to Sleeper. I bet you they'd implement that.
Maybe I should.
They're very, very receptive.
People will know that prior to this tirade, I have been nothing short of extremely gracious and respectful to the management of Undefeated Never Lost. Despite this, one heretofore unnamed defensive coordinator has taken it upon himself to take unnecessary pot shots at me when I'm not even involved in the conversation. You know, it's those kind of things that really make you question what a team is about and what kind of leadership there is. This may be tampering, so don't tell Commissioner Tooch. But I have half a mind to reach out to Danny Stortz about jumping ship and joining a true franchise that will value his opinions and not make trades without telling him. All that to say, I think Team Vanek gets on the board here. They win their first game of the season. They're still going to end up with the first overall pick, but that doesn't matter because it's all about the players on the field right now. And it's good to be Team Vanek because they're going to get a good win for the locker room.
I like that. Bijan Robinson, here Team Vanek comes. Finally, in our marquee matchup of the week, we have the Pumper McNichols taking on the Mental Brick Walls. Pumper McNichols favored at 74% in this one. Who do you like here?
Well, we know the story with the Pumper McNichols, all right? It's the same old team. They look hot out of the gate. They come out flying. They put up a big win streak. Team's looking good. And then it falls to pieces. The Mental Brick Walls, on the other hand, prior to the season, many had them pegged as one of the worst teams in the league.
True.
And yet they've jumped off to a 4-1 record, a 4-game winning streak before falling last week. It's hard to say what hasn't gone right for Mental Brick Walls this season, right? And it's also hard to say that what hasn't gone right for the Pumper McNichols this season. I don't think that the shoe is going to drop for the Pumper McNichols just yet. The carriage remains a carriage, no pumpkins to be found. We got a couple more weeks to Halloween, then we'll start talking about the Pumper McNichols collapse. But for now, I'm picking the Pumper McNichols.
Yeah, I like that pick here. This one is honestly a bit of a letdown. This is one that the producers had penciled in as the marquee matchup when both these teams were still undefeated. Both picked up their first loss last week, but I still think there is some potential here for a good matchup. 2 4-1 teams. Both would really like to get a win. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be pretty tough for the Brick Walls. They're going to be without Josh Jacobs, who's on a bye this week, and they just lost Rashad Penny for the season. So it's time for pick 1-2 Kenneth Walker to really step up and show what he's made of. See if Brett and the Brick Walls team made the right pick with him there. For the Pumper McNichols, I really don't have too much to say in this one. Like you said, they're good, then they're bad. They've been rolling this year. Lamar, Christian McCaffrey put up solid performances. I wouldn't be surprised if this team tries to add another piece closer to the trade deadline, or maybe even come in as a third party to some big blockbuster trade to solidify themselves as a contender. It's going to be really hard for the Brick Walls team to, put something together this week. I'm taking the Pumper McNichols in this one. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for being on the show this week. I'm wishing you all the best of luck with your picks, of course. Not as good as me, can't beat the expert, but again, thank you so much for being on and wishing you the best.
Thank you, Danny Football. Always a pleasure being on the show. I hope to see you again in the playoffs. And thank you for doing this. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Not Commissioner Tooch, though. Screw him. But Danny Football, you have the hearts and souls of America and YouTube watchers everywhere.
Hey, speaking of which, if you're watching, like, comment, subscribe. We're growing the show. We just had our best episode, most views last week. We didn't even get to 10 likes like I requested, but I heard that the producers still want to do more wings, so I'm just saying, show the love. Show the love to the show.
Show the love.
And thank you, Danny Football and guest Jacob, for those great picks. That's all we have for you this time. Be sure to come back next week to see how things shook out. I'm your host, and this has been TNN.
Alright, I'm going to make this short and sweet because just me breathing will cause everyone to just say my team sucks and every move I make is terrible. So just in general, I think Cook is at the end of his days. I think Eckler actually still has some of his days, but I needed to max out on his value because my team's probably not winning a championship this year. We saw an opportunity to get some young guys, potentially the most valuable running back in the league in Jonathan Taylor, the most valuable tight end in the league, dynasty-wise, in Kyle Pitts, and also Najee Harris to hopefully create a nice dynamic young duo that will guarantee the success for Ham and Throw for years to come. This isn't the end. I have no incentive to tank without my first round pick, so, you know, I could decide that I want to win more this year. Maybe I win a couple over the next couple weeks. I know Grayson has the first opportunity to lose to Ham and Throw this week after talking a lot of shit, so that's going to be fun. So yeah, I think the future's bright for Ham and Throw. This probably won't be the last of the moves, and, you know, if anyone wants to make any other trades, let me know. And yeah, good luck to everyone.